Today in the lab we're going to learn a couple different things. First we're going to learn how to load data from an Excel spreadsheet, also called a CSV file. We're going to take it out of that CSV file and we're going to load it into a database, and then once it's in the database, then we're going to take that file, or we're going to take that information, take that data, and we're going to export it back into a CSV file. Now a CSV file is called a comma separated value file. If we take a look at this file, and this is available on Icon. This data set is also available on my homepage. If we take a look at it, and we look at it with Notepad, you can see it is separated by commas here. So the first row we have here is we have a header. First we have interval, a symbol, closing price, a high price, and we have a low price header. And here we have the data itself, and it's separated by a comma. We can go all the way down and we can see, okay, we have 2001 rows of data here. Nice thing with comma separated values is it's also available to be opened within Excel. So here if I double click it, I can look at it within Excel. And so then you can do what you normally would in Excel, which is manipulate the columns to make it more readable. So what we have here is we have the interval, and this is a simulated stock data set. This is something I created for this example. So the first we have an interval, and an interval is nothing more than just a distance between two times. So for example, an interval is between 9:30 and 9:31, 9:32 and 9:33. And then we also have a symbol. Now the symbol is also known as the stock ticker. This is the name of the stock, or the symbol of the stock. We have a closing price. Now a closing price is nothing more than the ending price during that interval, at the end of the interval. And then the high price is the highest price of that stock during that specific interval. And the low price is the lowest price within that interval of time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look down here, and we can see we actually have 4 different stocks in this data set. Now each stock is represented, has 500 observations. So we have stock A, we have the stock BAC, and okay, now we start over again at 1. We have the stock C, Citigroup, and we have the 4th stock here represented in this data set, which is Johnson & Johnson. So what we're going to do here is we're going to load this data into the Oracle SQL developer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up SQL developer. Now in a previous example I've explained how to load, and in a previous video I explained how to connect to the Delphi server. So you can look at that video if you need any help on that. Okay, here we have our tables. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click on the table and I'm going to say import data. Okay, so we want to import data, and I saved it in my downloads directory. So let me attempt to find that. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to say open. Okay. So what we have here is we have the header. Remember, the header was the first row on the in the data set, in the file, and so here we do have a header. See, if we click it, it's going to show up at the top. We don't want to skip any rows because the first row is the header. This is a CSV, a comma separated values. We can also choose between different things here. So everything looks fine here. Oh, it says preview row limit. You know, technically we could view all 2,000 rows of data, but there's not really a point to do that. We just want to have a preview of this information. Okay, so now let's name the table that we're going to import this data into. So let's call this stock underscore data. Reason why we put underscore here is because oftentimes when you're creating an SQL a table, you don't want to have spaces in the table. It's just not considered very good form to do that. Now we want to import everything, so we're not going to put a limit on this. We want to import all 2,000 observations or instances into our data set, into our table. Okay, our available columns, and so it's already selected automatically all of our columns for us: our interval, symbol, close price, high price, and low price. Okay, now this is important. This gives us some different options, and later on in the class you'll learn more about this. Right now I'm going to kind of explain kind of quickly, and really the main point of this is just how to load data and not get too bogged down into the specifics of the data types. So this first, the interval, remember that was the number between 1 and 500. This is an integer, so let's go ahead and give it an integer name. The symbol, okay, this is it's called a variable character type. So what this is if you notice that some of the stocks were 3 characters in length and others were 1. I think the longest one was Johnson & Johnson. The shortest one was 1, which is Agilent, and that was 1 character A. Stocks, though, can be up to 4 characters in length. So let's just go ahead and say, well, let's just go ahead and just say 5 here. Why this is called variable character length is we can say we place a maximum length on it. If we only use 1 character, it only saves 1 character. And so this is just kind of a management issue here. It's not fixed. Okay, the closing price. Now this is a number, and what this is here is, technically the stocks can go up quite high in value. The size of the number, let's say, can be 1,000. After the digit, how many digits are in a stock? Let's just say 2. So that's a scale. So it can be 1,087, 1,092. Same thing for this high price. We're going to give it a number, the size of it. We can go all the way up to 4 and give it a scale of 2. Number 4 and 2. Okay, now I'm going to look at this information again, and we're not going to worry about is it available to be nullable or not. That's a topic for later on. I'm going to go next. I'm going to verify. Okay, so it shows that everything is a success so far. I verified that the table name is that a good name or not. And then we're going to say finish. Okay, so now it says import data into table stock data from file data to data.csv. It's successful and everything's been committed. Okay, here it is. Ooh. So here it is. This is our data that we have here. Our data types. Okay. And we can also look at the data, here. So everything looks like it's been loaded in correctly. Okay, now that we have the data loaded into the table, we can do queries on it. So, for example, select and star from stock data where symbol equals Citigroup. Okay, and we can get very specific in our queries. Now let's export this data from the stock data set, from the stock data table, and into a file. We're just going to right click and we're going to export. And what do we want to do? We want to export data. We want to just export the CSV into another comma separated values. Okay, we do not want to export the DDL. We don't want to export schema or anything. So we just want to export the CSV file. And here it says where we're going to export the information. Next. Here it says, what do we want to export? Do we want to export everything? Do we want to export specific columns? Here it just says it's going to export everything, all the columns. If we want to export a specific column, we can click here and we can say what in particular you want to export. So for example, let's just say we want to only export let's go back. Oops. Okay, let's just say we want to export only the stock Citigroup and only the closing price. And we don't want to export you know, the interval or the high price and the low price. So for example, so we can go over here and we can say export. I'm going to go do this again. CSV. Okay. Next. I want to export only, what did I say, the symbol and the closing price, I said. Okay. And let's just say where symbol equals C. Okay, and it's giving us a preview there. Okay. And finish. Okay, now we're going to look at our file here. Okay, nice. It shows us here the export. I'm going to double click this. And here we go. This shows us our stock symbol C, and it should have 500 observations of this. Yep, 500, because remember we started off at 1 here. We started off actually at 2, so that's 500 observations. So we successfully imported the data into the table, and then exported the data from the table. Our specific data out of the table into a spreadsheet or a CSV, comma separated values, so that we can then either email this to our coworkers or whatnot, classmates, and we can analyze this data now within Excel. Thank you.